Sir, good afternoon to you, sir.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. Well, not as good as the people down in Syria.
Yeah, really. What do you know about what's going on there? Do you still have family over there or friends? And
Yeah. My dad is actually he's a surgeon, and he's a retired surgeon, but he's volunteering at the hospital there, and we haven't heard of him about him for a while, and last he said that he was saying that there are about 20 basically murders or 20 dead civilians that came in today, and this has been an ongoing thing for the last about 7 days, and an uncounted number of injured people. And he's saying that a lot of injured people wouldn't even go to the hospital because they're afraid that the secret security forces would come and basically either kidnap them or execute them, just because they want to hide as much as they can of evidence, and they don't want to have people staying around and still have even secret burials and stuff like that.
And President Bashar Assad is considered again one of the more repressive dictators in that region, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, you see, it's the whole system too. It's not just him by himself. Syria has been under emergency law since 1963. Emergency law is something that gets implemented for a short period of time for a natural or man-made disaster or something like that, or for a period of unrest. But we've had emergency law since 1963. Those laws give those security forces, give those secret police the tools to go and kidnap people, kill people, and do whatever they want to do with the civilians without being accountable. And that's the worst thing. Even today, and we're from the southern province, Syria, called Dara, and in our city there were 20 dead. In the town next to us there were 25 dead. And again, there's no accurate count of injured people, just because there is no independent media outlet there. They will not allow any other media but their own media, but the official government media. And just me talking on the radio right now is actually risking my family there and risking the people that I know and love in there. That's how bad it is, and that's how. And people are telling me over there they're not afraid to die. They just want the people to know why they died and how they died. Their senators willing to give their lives to freedom. None of them is armed. We don't. All the demonstrations they had, they were unarmed. Nobody even threw an arc until they were shooting at them, and that's the least they could do, just to defend themselves. They were throwing arcs at that point. But even today, when they started shooting at them, nobody threw even one rock. And I had family members. There were women, children, men in there, and I talked to at least three different people in there, and they all said we did not throw an arc before they opened live fire, and most of the injuries were headshots. So people are being massacred left, right, and center.
But still they continue to protest. I mean, that says a lot about their courage.
Well, you see, after living in 42 years in horror, and once they broke the fear factor, there's no going back now. And even if they stop now, they know that they're going to come back and basically collect them one by one. They're going to come and get them one by one. And one thing I wanted to mention too, just in the last half an hour, we talked to our relative there, and he said that the police and the army have withdrawn from the city. And that's actually not a good thing, because the way our army and the security there is actually they're different. Our army is different from our secret police and security forces, political security forces.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen now? That could open the door for a huge massacre. That could happen overnight tonight.
But as we've seen in other countries, though, where the army has, in many cases, sided with the protesters. Is that a possibility in Syria, that the military could join with the protesters?
Well, that's what we were hoping for, and that's what everybody was hoping for there. But it doesn't look like that's the case, because it seems that, similar to what's going on in Libya now, where even though the army, parts of it stood with the people, but the army has been put on the side for too long, and they're not as well armed and equipped as well as the presidential forces and the secret police, and so
there's a real risk of much more bloodshed, is what you're telling us.
What was that?
There's a real risk of much more bloodshed, is what you're telling us here.
And that's they say they're willing to give their lives for their country and their freedom, but the problem is that the only thing that we could do to help them, I think, from here is to expose all this, put it as much as we can to the media, and tell the people out there, like if the Canadian government contacts the Syrian embassy or the Syrian ambassador here and asks him to talk to the Syrian government, that would put more exposure. Those people are afraid of being exposed, because back in the 80s they did a huge massacre. They killed between 17 to 40,000 people in one city, and that's what we're afraid of. And because back then there was no media coverage, there is some pictures of it right now, but there is no real media coverage in a city called Hama. And just because right now there's a lot more media coverage, there are cell phones, people are loading those pictures and videos whenever they get the chance. Those guys are afraid of this media coverage, because they know once they lose credibility, once people are not afraid of them, they're gone. But we want to minimize the loss of life. And like I said, those people are unarmed. If they had weapons, then we'd say, oh, it's a conflict. It's not even a conflict. It's unarmed people just asking for their rights.
Well, and there's a vigil to support their efforts on Sunday in Halifax from 1 until 2 o'clock in front of the Halifax Public Library on Spring Garden Road, and I think a big turnout would certainly send a message of encouragement to the people of Syria, who are, again, showing much courage by taking to the streets and calling for these kinds of reforms. Mr. Mansour, good luck, and let's hope that your family stays safe, and we'll keep in touch with you, and you can update us now and again on what's going on there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate the chance.
Mohammed Mansour, a Syrian Canadian, living